All right, welcome to the Explainer. If you are a master's business student gearing up for your strategic decision exercise, you're going to want to listen up because this is your high-stakes mission briefing. You are about to step into the role of Chief Marketing Officer for Luminary Cosmetics. And your job? Well, you have to execute a massive generational pivot for a legacy beauty brand, but you absolutely cannot destroy the foundation that built it. We're going to break down the exact parameters of the simulation using the actual case file data so you can hit the ground running when it's your turn to make those tough calls. So here's the game plan to help you structure your strategy prep. We'll be covering the Luminary Cosmetics crisis, defining the winning state, the e.l.f. Cosmetics threat, navigating channel dynamics, and finally, your 3 key decisions. Let's jump right into part 1, the Luminary Cosmetics crisis. You are inheriting a pretty massive crisis here. Brand awareness among the 18 to 28-year-old cohort has completely plummeted. I mean, back in 2018, Luminary was sitting pretty comfortably at 71% awareness with this demographic. But today, it has tanked to just 44%. That is a terrifying trajectory for literally any consumer brand. You've got 4 consecutive years of market share decline under your belt the second you walk into the office on day 1. So you've got to launch the new Luminary Pro skincare line and stop this bleeding. Otherwise, the brand risks total irrelevance in the coming decade. And this really gets to the heart of the core tension in your simulation. Luminary's old guard heritage model is entirely built around the 35 to 55 age bracket. It relies heavily on linear TV ad spend and traditional department store beauty counters. But that entire model is being fundamentally disrupted. The digital native brands that are currently eating your market share, they're completely zeroed in on the 18 to 34 demographic. They're TikTok native, they drive direct-to-consumer sales, and their pricing is incredibly agile. So your challenge as CMO is not just, updating a logo. It's about shifting an entire corporate paradigm from a linear department store model into a TikTok-native DTC machine, and you've got to do it without sinking the ship. Moving right along to Section 2, defining the winning state. Okay, so what does winning actually look like? The crucial point here is that you absolutely must achieve all 3 of these specific KPI conditions simultaneously by the end of decision point 3. First up, you need that 18 to 28 awareness to jump by at least 8 percentage points, pushing it over the 52% mark. Second, your relaunched Luminary Pro line has to hit 12% year-over-year revenue growth. But here's the catch, and it's a major one. You cannot let the net promoter score of your core 35 to 55 customer drop below a 32. It's currently at 38. You have to balance this aggressive new growth without alienating your core base. If you chase Gen Z so hard that your loyal, high-income legacy buyers abandon you, you lose the simulation. It's really a tightrope walk. Which brings us to Section 3, the e.l.f. Cosmetics threat. Let's think about this quote for a second, because it really highlights the intense internal pressure you're going to be dealing with. This is from Amara Diallo, an independent board director with a very strong digital marketing background. When you sit down in that CMO chair, you're going to have board members like Amara outright demanding that you abandon traditional methods to chase e.l.f.'s frankly staggering 76% 2-year revenue growth. So you're going to have to manage up just as effectively as you manage out. And you can kind of see her point when you look at the sheer efficiency of e.l.f.'s engine. They generated over 14 billion video views in a recent campaign at a cost per 1,000 impressions of just $1.80. To put that into perspective for your own strategy, that is roughly 1/8 of what Luminary is currently paying for its traditional linear TV ads. e.l.f. is playing a hyper-efficient volume game that your current media mix mathematically just cannot match. Let's pivot to Section 4, navigating channel dynamics. This breaks down your proposed $42 million budget for the Your Skin Elevated campaign. Now, this was built by your predecessor, Andre Bastos. Notice how heavily he shifted the focus toward digital. You've got $10 million in paid social and $8 million dedicated entirely to highly unpredictable digital influencers. You've got macro influencers like Jade Okonkwo and Marcus Leung already lined up. But remember, this is just a proposed budget. As the acting CMO, you're the one who has to pull the trigger and decide if this mix is exactly how you want to deploy your capital. And to add a little more fuel to the fire, your external partners are turning the screws too. Legacy retail partners like Nordstrom are actively threatening to pull major premium shelf space, specifically 2 full bays, which equates to 18% of your physical footprint if you don't generate immediate Gen Z brand heat by Q1. So, you don't have the luxury of a slow, careful, multi-year turnaround here. You need fast, measurable impact by March, or you lose the physical distribution that's driving nearly 1/3 of your total revenue. All right, Section 5, your 3 key decisions. Let's map out exactly how this pressure is going to build across your first 10 weeks on the job. These are the exact moments where you'll be forced to make some really critical strategic trade-offs. You're going to start with budgeting in week 2, you'll be hit with an acute PR crisis in week 5, and then you'll have to deal with a direct market attack in week 10. Let's break each of these down so you know exactly what's coming your way. In week 2, decision point 1 hits your desk. You're faced with your first major dilemma: balancing your CEO's extreme caution about cutting traditional TV spend with the absolute life or death necessity of digital modernization. And you only have 10 days until the campaign launches. So you're going to have to select one of these allocation options. Do you go with option A, keeping $14 million securely anchored in TV to protect your core 35 to 55 demographic? Or do you take a massive swing with option B, slashing TV down to $6 million and dumping $16 million into TikTok and influencers to aggressively chase Gen Z? Or maybe you attempt option C, a phased launch. Whatever path you choose, you absolutely must be able to defend your rationale against board members who are terrified of breaking the one thing that has historically worked for the company. Then, just as you're settling in, week 5 throws every CMO's absolute worst nightmare right onto your desk. Decision point 2. Your big $8 million influencer bet goes completely awry. One of your top signed macro influencers, Jade Okonkwo, posts a culturally insensitive video on her own channel, completely outside of her Luminary content. It immediately generates millions of views, and suddenly, Boycott Luminary is trending worldwide. As CMO, you have to act immediately and choose one of these 4 crisis management steps. Do you terminate her contract? Issue a joint statement? Stay completely silent and just hope it blows over? Or do you rapidly pivot your media spend to a different influencer? Every single choice here has massive consequences, and you have to keep a very close eye on how your decision impacts that vital 35 to 55 core customer NPS score we talked about earlier. If your core base starts feeling like the brand is acting erratically or abandoning its core values, that score is going to tank. And well, you lose the simulation. And finally, just as you're recovering from that PR nightmare, week 10 brings a completely direct, super aggressive attack. Decision point 3. ELF launches ELF Skin Pro, which is a direct $22 dupe to your premium $48 Luminary Pro serum. Backed by a $25 million TikTok campaign, their launch causes your direct-to-consumer web traffic to literally drop by 18% in a single week. Now you're in a full-blown pricing and positioning war. You have to select a strategic countermaneuver from these options. Do you drop your prices to defend your market share? Do you accelerate your premium positioning and just ignore the bottom of the market altogether? Do you launch an aggressive counter campaign? Or do you shift your entire focus to specialty retail channels like Sephora to protect your brand equity? You have to make a choice that protects that crucial 12% revenue growth metric, but you have to do it without destroying your brand's hard-earned premium perception. So, keep this ultimate question in mind as you step into the CMO role. Can you successfully modernize a legacy brand without alienating the base that built it? Because honestly, your ability to balance the old guard with the new wave is going to entirely determine your success here. The data is right in front of you, the budget is in your hands, and the clock is officially ticking. Will you be the executive who successfully modernizes Luminary, or the one who oversees its final descent into irrelevance? Good luck with your simulation.